words he speaks are true. We're a humanary stew. We don't pledge allegiance to the Black Widow.
The horror that he'll bring. The horror of his sting. The unholiest of kings. The Black Widow.
Welcome to the latest episode of Spider's Parlor. I am the Spider. With me, as always, is our good friend, Steven. Say hello to the good people, Steven. Tonight we are reviewing 4 Jason Voorhees related DVDs in what I am calling my Jason Voorhees DVD fever. This week, or should I say this past week, we had an insane amount of Jason DVDs that got released, in conjunction with the release of the Friday the 13th remake on DVD. And then Paramount followed with the next 3 chapters of their Jason Saga special editions. Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. Friday the 13th, Part 5, the new beginning. Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. September will see Jason return in the last 2 Paramount-related released DVDs. Friday the 13th 7, The New Blood, and Friday the 13th 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. I have to say that I was quite surprised how much I enjoyed the Friday the 13th movie. The remake. I'm one, and if anyone who knows me knows how much I will harp on remakes, because almost all of them unanimously do not live up to the originals. But I will say that taking a character like Jason and kind of bringing it up, they obviously wanted to try something different, bringing it up to modern times and all that stuff. He runs now. He's got more intelligence than before. He, uses the surroundings to his advantage. He has underground tunnels underneath the camp that he can use to pop up to, surprise his, intended victims. But, all in all, I have to say that while I would much rather have seen sequels continue of the old franchise and a sequel to Freddy vs. Jason, if this is the direction they're going to go in, at least this is livable. Derek Mears is a good Jason for this vision. He'll never be Kane Hodder. I like you, Derek. I look forward to meeting you one day at one of the conventions. Kane rules Jason forever. Besides playing him more times than, any other person, he just, he brought something different to the character that hadn't been done before. He had a great, strong passion for playing the role, and, it seems Derek shares that and everything else. But, and of course, I would have been interested to see how Kane would have done with this Jason, the new vision. But with the DVD, I don't have a Blu-ray player, so I, of course, will still continue buying DVDs. But it's got 2, important features on here. Additional slash scenes, aka deleted scenes, and a new thing called The Rebirth of Jason Voorhees, which is just a making of kind of why they felt it was necessary to redo Jason, and etc., etc. But I have to say the quality is quite good. I really like the characters in this. They're a lot of fun. It's, it did feel like, in a lot of scenes, an old Jason movie, but a lot of times it did not. There was not enough of the famous thrown in there. But I will say the kills could have been better, but there were 2 or 3 that really stuck out for me. I'm not going to go into specifics of the plot. I won't tell you any plot spoilers or anything. But needless to say, it was pretty enjoyable. I highly recommend anyone that wants at least to get a good remake, go get this. If you're a fan of Jason, check it out. If you still haven't seen it in the theater, you didn't get to go see it in the theaters, definitely try it once. I think you'll like it. But now to the DVDs I personally enjoy, and it's reviewing the old franchise. Starting with Part 4, the final chapter. You know, one has to think, with a name like Final Chapter, that it would actually have been the final chapter. Now, that was 1984. Paramount had made enough money off the franchise, they felt it was time. Let's put Jason to rest for good. And they definitely came up with a great way. And for those who still have not had the luxury of seeing these early Friday the 13th, they're some of the most fun. I recommend getting a group of your closest friends together. And I did such a thing a week before the release of the remake in theaters. I had a pretty good little group of people over, and we watched a few of the early Friday the 13th, and I had the time of my life. A couple of them had never seen any of them before, and it was such a pleasure to show these off. Yes, they're not the greatest stories in the world, and yes, they have some cornball dialogue in a lot of it, but God, if there isn't something great about each installment, even some of the worst ones that people consider, like Part 5. I personally like Part 5 for other reasons, which I will get into. But final chapter. Joe Zito, who also did The Prowler, did a fantastic job with this movie. It gave us, the return of Tom Savini, which was, definitely a great thing. I have to say that some of the kills in this were some of the best ones of the series. Jason's death sequence is just phenomenal. Savini's just, he's the shit. It's as simple as that. He is the man. I've had the pleasure of meeting him on 4 separate occasions, and I have been blessed to walk away every time having learned more about this master of, practical effects, which anyone who knows me knows I love the practical effect versus CGI. CGI should be used to enhance certain things, unless you're doing a movie that is all special effects, in which case CGI may be the only way to go, but that's neither here nor there. Corey Feldman is in this movie. He done the same year as Gremlins, and I like Corey Feldman, at least in his early years. I love Kimberly Beck as Trish, his older sister. She is beautiful, very beautiful. I've had a thing for her off and on since I was a kid. A lot of the leading ladies in the Friday franchise are very, very attractive and very easy on the eyes. Almost all of them, if you think about it. Alice from 1, Jenny from 2, Chris from 3, and now Trish for 4. But yeah, and then the extras on this are very, very good. They are giving us more slash scenes. There's a great documentary on here called Jason's Unlucky Day, 25 years of Friday the 13th, final chapter. There's a great lost ending, which gives us the definitive answer as to what would have happened to Tommy's mom, and that's all I'll say. There is a new sequence that starts on this, a new documentary that's at least the beginning of a 3-parter at least, called The Crystal Lake Massacre Revisited. And it's this kind of fan-made film that shows a lot of what would have been done. Had these reporters and people that theorized and stuff, got a hold of all the documentation involving Jason. And it's really neat. I really liked it. It was well made. Then there's a special devoted to Jimmy, who was played by Crispin Glover, about his dance moves and that infamous dance in the movie. And finally, the original trailer. So all in all, Paramount is definitely stepping up finally and giving us a pretty good version of the final chapter.